All right, welcome back. Sorry about that. Having some audio issues on our end, but jumping back into this game between Joaquin and Oscar, and it's hard to tell how many prize cards each of them have remaining, unfortunately, but we'll try to do our best to walk through the rest of this game. Looks like there's some damage on both sides of their field, damage on one of Joaquin's Charizard EXs, and damage on Oscar's active Pidgeot. His Arceus obviously is gone, was knocked out, I assume, so Joaquin's probably around 3 prize cards remaining, and Oscar, I think, probably at 4 prize cards remaining, if I had to take a guess. But what this means for Oscar is he's probably trying to find a boss's orders here to take that final damage that he needs onto that bench Charizard EX.
And it looks like he has 2 bosses left in the deck. So we're grabbing the candy off of the quick search.
I don't know what's in Oscar's hand, but I worry that Oscar might not know that you can only use 1 quick search per turn. So if he's grabbing candy to get into another Pidgeot, he might be assuming that he can use 2 quick search abilities. Maybe not.
Let's see. Looking at his hand. Oh, he does have the boss in hand.
Already has the boss, so we're going to see that.
Setting up for in case his Pidgeot gets targeted down next turn.
Absolutely. So the funny thing is, if Joaquin does target down that Pidgeot EX next turn, I assume Oscar's gone to 2 prize cards remaining. And if Joaquin takes another 2 prize cards, that puts him down to 1 prize card remaining, meaning Oscar can KO that bench Charizard EX or the Pidgeot EX. It really doesn't matter which. So I think Joaquin probably has to attack with that Radiant Charizard here, but he's going to have to find Rare Candy Charizard EX to power it up and be able to attack with it, because it is going to need... Actually, no, it only needs 1 energy, right?
Yeah, if Oscar's at 2 prizes, then it only needs the 1.
So 1 energy, going to be able to attack into this Charizard EX, but because Joaquin put himself on that odd prize trade going after that Charmander earlier in the game, it's kind of putting him in a tough position here where he can't really KO anything, but he has to KO something.
He has to KO something.
And I wonder if he has to go after the Pidgey or the Manaphy so he doesn't go down to just 1 prize card remaining.
Looks like he is...
I don't think I see any boss's orders left in that deck, though.
Didn't quite see what he grabbed. Looks like it is a collapse to take his Mew off the board. I think maybe he wanted to grab a boss, maybe didn't realize there was any bosses left, and kind of just fell back on the collapse as a backup plan.
Yes, we're going to see 250 damage come down onto this Charizard EX, but all Oscar needs to do is take 2 1-prize knockouts now. And I think you said that you saw more bosses orders in that deck for Oscar, so he could just quick search out a boss, keep it in hand, and knock out this Radiant Charizard, and he has 2 Charizards ready to go to attack, and Joaquin still needs to take 3 prizes.
Yeah, it looks like he also has Rare Candy Pidgeot in hand, so even if Joaquin targets down his Pidgeot, Oscar should be able to clean up this game.
Absolutely. Yeah, so Oscar looking like he's in a good position right now. And really, I think that is maybe a lesson for some Charizard players out there is be careful on how you take your prizes in this matchup, because you get yourself into a position where you take a prize card early and you can't take a prize card later, or else you're giving your opponent the win off of that.
Yes, prize mapping very, very important in this matchup, especially.
You think, oh, I'm going down to 1 prize card remaining, now I have the advantage, but not if you're powering up your opponent's side of the board to the point where they can do 330 damage.
Yeah, ridiculous. Charizard EX, very powerful card.
And we do see that boss's orders in Oscar's hand, and he's just going to take the KO on this Radiant Charizard, going down to 1 prize card remaining. And I think that's probably going to be the game here for Joaquin. Even if he Ionos, Oscar can just quick search out that boss's orders. Again, the question is, can Joaquin stall in any way? Potentially he could count the energies left in Oscar's deck or discard and see if he can boss stall that Manaphy. But it looks like Joaquin's got a really thin deck here. I don't think he's outlasting a deck out situation.
Yeah, it looks like he is just going to take the knockout. Oscar should be able to just respond with the Charizard EX and take the game.
See the draw for turn. If we've been either
His
way, he just
boss,
has
yeah,
the
he
boss.
just got
Either
it.
way, Oscar's just got the game there. So definitely a good lesson there for prize mapping in the Charizard mirror. Definitely, you kind of want to go up in prizes. And Joaquin says, okay, I'm going to take this knockout on a Charmander and make it harder for you to get more Charizard EXs into play when he could have taken that knockout on the Arceus V-Star. And that really came back to bite him. If he takes that knockout on the Arceus V-Star, I think Joaquin just wins that game.
Yeah, he definitely had the lead up until that point.
Yeah. So, lesson to be learned there. Congratulations, though, to Oscar for winning round 1 here tonight. And we'll be back here soon with a winner's interview. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Tuesday night league night here at the Forge, moving into round 2. Our players are getting set up and we're ready to go. I believe we have Jack versus Peyton. Jack playing that Miraidon deck and Peyton playing something kind of spicy.
Playing something a little spicy here.
We got this prize cam here going for all of you. So Jack there on the left. It looks like we have a Miraidon prize, a boss's orders, and a research. Nothing too bad. And same thing on Peyton's side. Nothing too bad. Prize there. It looks like a Cleavor, which actually is pretty important in this matchup, but it's on the bottom of those prizes, so it's probably going to be one that he's taking early at the very least.
Yeah, and Peyton playing the Scyther, Cleavor, Radiant Charizard counterbox. Little Dark Fury did a video on this, I think, and I believe Peyton said he's playing that exact list.
Yeah, so obviously probably playing a lot of reversal energies, luminous energies, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and just trying to counter a lot of the decks that are popular right now in the meta. The Scissor is a very good attacker. It hits 10 damage plus 50 for each of your opponent's Pokemon that have abilities.
And that's going to be a really important thing here because every Pokemon Jack's going to be putting out on this Miraidon deck is going to be having an ability.
Yeah, so Scissor going to be taking one-shots, Cleavor going to be taking one-shots. I think Jack's best bet to win this game is to just hope that he can take some prizes early before Peyton's able to get set up.
Yeah. Target down those Scythers early if you can. But using that tandem unit ability from that first Miraidon to go get Mareep and another Miraidon, and then using that other Miraidon's tandem unit ability to go find those 2 Raikou Vs. You see an Ultra Ball here from Jack, discarding those 2 Lightning Energies. Nice to get those in the discard early so that you can start accelerating them with Flaffy's Dynamotor ability later in the game. And we see that Squawk ability EX come down. I know a card that I personally love. Put in any deck that it makes sense in. Just make those turn 1s way better. That Squawk ability.
Yeah, and I believe Jack is playing the same 60 that got 21st at Worlds.
Yeah.
So the heavy count of Path to the Peak, the double Flaffy.
And that Path to the Peak could be difficult for Peyton later in the game, shutting off that Radiant Charizard's ability, but I don't think Radiant Charizard is really going to be the main issue for Jack today. It's going to be those Cleavors and Scissors for sure.
Jack using Switch Card going into Raikou V, about to Fleetfoot and take 1 extra card.
We're going to see a Path to the Peak and a Boss's Orders tossed away with that Squawk and Seize ability. That Squawk ability with that ability on that says on your first turn, you can use this ability, discard your hand, and draw 6 cards.
Jack debating on whether to play. Does he have a generator in his hand?
I think he got 2 of those electric generators off of that Squawk ability. So looking at the top 5 cards and can attach up to 2 lightning energy he finds there to one of his bench Pokemon, or to his bench Pokemon in any way he likes. But looks like he found 1 off of that. Gonna attach to the Raikou V. Shuffle back up and.
Do you think he goes for the second one?
That's a tough call. I think there's probably no reason not to, honestly. He has an Iono in hand, and we're probably going to see an Iono next turn. So do you wait until you draw your top deck and then say that gives me like that dig of 1 card deeper plus the Fleet-footed on the next turn? I'm not entirely sure, but Jack just ending all those questions, going right for it. Top deck's 2 lightning energy, and he's just showing him off his paint, saying, "I don't need to look at the rest of those 5. I already know what I want." Attaches 1 to that Raikou V and 1 to the bench Miraidon.
All right, I would say as far as what Miraidon wants to do on its first turn, I'd say Jack has basically accomplished all of it.
Absolutely.
Path, not going to be super important early on in this game. But definitely, like you said, late game is when we'll want to see the path start coming down.
I'm trying to take a look at Peyton's hand here. He's been kind of shuffling through it, and I'm not sure if I see a draw supporter in there. It looks like Boss's Orders, more energy, Echoing Horn. And
that is a brick and a half.
It looks like he has an Artizone and a Bidoof, so he can at least go find more basic Pokemon. The question is, do we just see a Nestash here and dig that 1 card deeper into the deck?
I kind of think you do it. I don't think he'll be accomplishing much if he doesn't find a draw supporter this turn. He has the option to boss something up, I guess. You could boss up a Flaffy, but that doesn't really do too much with only having 1 retreat cost.
Yeah.
I think if I'm Jack, I'm looking to boss either the Scyther or the Bidoof next turn.
Yeah.
especially if Peyton does go for the Nest Dash.
Yeah, if Peyton goes for the Nest Dash, I think the supporter that Jack had in hand was an Iono, but you definitely don't want to be playing that if your opponent just Nest Dashed themselves to 1. I think we're going to have to see that here from Peyton because none of those cards are doing anything for him next turn, but...
Looks like he is just going to hold the hand and pass.
So, that's not a bad play. If you think that Jack's playing that heavy disruption version of the Miraidon deck, you say, I'm going to hold this big hand. If you Nest Dash to 1, it tells Jack, you probably don't want to disrupt me. But with that big hand, maybe Jack's thinking, okay, he's got the barrel, he's got scissor, something like that. And it encourages Jack to play that Iono that Jack has in hand.
Jack does play the escape rope, and that was a very good card to play that turn. Getting rid of the Bidoof is much better than getting rid of the Skwovet here.
Absolutely, and we see Jack actually discarding that Iono, so not going to be using that Iono and on this turn. And Jack might not know how much help he would have been doing Peyton to play that Iono, but certainly a good thing here for Jack if he doesn't disrupt that hand.
And looking at the prizes, it looks like the bottom prizes of Jack, he's got that Boss's Orders there. That could be a really great pickup if he's able to grab it off of this knockout.
Jack just shuffling up here after playing that Ultra Ball, getting the Flaffy out, going to be able to use Dynamotor to accelerate some of that lightning energy from the discard pile to one of his bench Pokemon. Looks like he's got a Charm of Courage as well, and an Ultra Ball, a Research, and a Lightning Energy. So we're going to decide where to attach that energy, and then I think we're going to just see a Research, and Jack drawing 7 cards here.
And if you're Peyton, I think you really need to hope that you top deck some kind of draw supporter next turn, or this game might be wrapping up pretty quickly.
Yeah. Not entirely sure what Peyton's supporter lineup is, but if he draws a Research, that is not good because a ton of his energy is already in his hand. So he really wants to top deck an Iono here, and he really didn't want to see this Bidoof go down. But if he also top decks a Scissor or a way to find a Scissor, he's also in a good spot because he's going to be able to knock out this Raikou V. I believe he would be doing 250 damage, and that is exactly what the Raikou V has, unless the Raikou is resistant to metal, but I don't believe that it is.
He's actually going to be doing 310 damage.
Oh, he does have the... I forgot he evolved the Flaffy.
So that Scissor is swinging right now.
Wow. So anything that Jack puts into play, he's going to be able to one-hit KO with that Scissor. That Scissor, of course, for 1 metal energy, can do 10 plus 50 more damage for each ability your opponent has in play. And they get top decks the Pokegear. No, I thought it was a Pokegear. It's the Rescue Carrier, so he can get that Bidoof back at least.
He's going to have to, I think.
And I wonder if we do see him decide to boss stall on this Flaffy here. That Flaffy with 2 retreat cost and no energy attached to it already is probably Peyton's best play to kind of stall this game here. But Jack did leave that Artisan in play, so Peyton able to go find another Scyther as well.
All right, I think if you're Peyton, do you play the Rescue Carrier this turn, get that Bidoof back?
I think you have to. It's your only way to draw cards if you can top deck a way to find that barrel. And I almost even would just Nest Dash this turn. Maybe Boss's Orders that Flaffy and start Nest Dashing to dig deeper into your deck. I think he's trying to decide. He's attaching that energy.
Setting up the pivot.
Gets that Doof back. I think he got a boss stall here.
He is just going to
see the Nest Dash. Does he rip a Research? I can't tell you how many times that squirrel has bailed me out of this spot.
Oh, that is not what he was looking for.
Yeah, definitely not what he's looking for, but I think you could bench it and retreat out of the Skwovet so you preserve that Nest Dash ability, potentially, but just okay to give up the Skwovet here. I think I would have retreated into that Zard, personally.
Yeah, I think I agree. Jack's going to be taking a knockout no matter what, so probably better to see 1 more extra card next turn.
Jack with another escape rope, and Peyton, you cannot give up that Bidoof again. He's got to give up one of these
another Scyther.
And Jack being able to use 2 fleet-footed abilities here, so a really cool part of this deck that as you pivot in and out of these Raikous, each of them just drawing you an extra card. And Jack doesn't necessarily need to get Path into play to disrupt any abilities on Peyton's side of the board, but he probably does want to get rid of that Artisan so Peyton doesn't have the opportunity to getting these one prize Pokemon out of his deck.
Does hit one off of the generator. Looks like he's thinking about where to attach it. It's going to go on the Miraidon. Considering putting on the Flaffy in case another boss stall comes out, but with that one card hand, I think it's probably fine to just put it on the Miraidon.
Yeah. And the other thing to note here is Jack is going to be taking that boss's orders off of this next prize. Players normally take their prize cards in order. It usually looks a little bit suspicious if they don't. So we can tell from that prize cam here that Jack is going to be able to take that boss's orders off these prize cards and attaching that Forest Seal Stone to Raikou V. So Jack still has a V-Star power here, and he's going to use it, that Forest Seal Stone, allowing him to go into his deck and choose any card that he wants.
What do you think he's going to grab off of this? Did he? Oh, he just placed it. Never mind.
No, he did use it. He flipped over his V-Star marker there. I can see just the corner of it
I see.
on the board there. So I'm not sure what he took, but personally, I'm either looking for... it looks like he took a Judge or a Boss. It looks like he didn't choose to take a Boss. So he might be using Boss's orders to either target down the Scyther with the energy or the Bidoof.
I think he is going to go for the Scyther. I think he was really debating on what to go for. And I think that makes sense. Makes it Peyton need one additional piece. If he had top decked the Scyther next turn, that would have been or the Scizor next turn, that would have been pretty good for Peyton.
Taking this KO, going to take another prize card on Jack's side, and it's going to be that boss's orders. And Peyton drawing for turn. It's a reversal energy. Now, that reversal energy is live. He can attach it to that Scyther in case he finds a Scizor or a Kleavor off of this Nest Stash, but I think we're going to have to see Peyton Nest Stash again and hope for the best. Imagine a Nest Stash into a barrel here.
That would be pretty busted. You got to think, if he doesn't find anything here, is there much hope left for Peyton? This Miraidon deck is off to quite a strong lead.
Yeah, the thing is, Peyton, if you just think of the prize trade, Peyton can take 2 every turn, so he just needs 3 turns. But if he doesn't take a knockout on this turn, which he Nest Stashes for that Echoing Horn, which means he's not going to be taking a KO this turn. If he doesn't take a KO this turn, that lets Jack get to 3 prize cards remaining on his next turn, and Jack can take a KO every turn from there, and Peyton's going to just fall behind in that prize trade of taking 2, 2, 2, and where Jack just needs to take 1, 1, 1 now. Another boss's orders coming down.
Orders on the Scyther.
Sometimes it feels like this Miraidon deck shouldn't draw as well as it does.
That's for sure. He is seeing everything he wants and more.
An unfortunate setup for Peyton, because it really is crazy how favored he should be into this matchup if he sets up. But just nothing going here for Peyton. But the only saving grace he has is that Artisan has stayed in play all game. He can keep taking these basic non-rule box Pokemon out of his deck, just getting the Scythers out as fast as Jack can knock them out with bosses, and by bosses ordering them up. And we're just going to be seeing Artisan for Scyther, thinning out that deck a little bit more each turn, and just another Nest Stash as well.
Yeah, the squirrel is back at it again. What will we see this time? Will it finally be the draw supporter?
It's the Bibarel, and we're finally drawing
he's
cards.
Off to the races.
Bosses orders energy, Iono energy research, and if he can rip the Scyther off he got the Scizor off
of the Bibarel,
and now he can Iono Jack to 4 cards remaining, get 6 himself, and he's going to be taking a knockout here. Peyton actually back in this game. He can take 2 here. Jack will take 1, 2, 1, 2. That's kind of the prize trade that Peyton's still on, and that squirrel finally got him there. Finally gets in the Bibarel. I have to imagine. Oh, we're gonna boss doors up the Raikou with Charm of Courage on it. Interesting play there. I think I just Iono, make sure that Jack has less cards to play with in hand, or research just more ways to set up. You probably need to find another rescue carrier, or I don't know if you play some Claras or something to find those Scyther that are already in the discard pile. But certainly is going to need to set up some more attackers.
Also, kind of interesting not to take out the Raikou with the Forest Seal Stone by doing that boss's orders. The one with the Forest Seal Stone was in the active, so kind of interesting not to take the knockout on that one. I think.
So I wonder wonder if Peyton was thinking, if I knock out something with an ability, maybe that Charm of Courage keeps me from taking a knockout if Jack doesn't bench something else. But I don't think that was the case. I think with 250 HP, with that Charm of Courage or Bravery Charm.
You'll still, Bravery Charm still be, or Charm of Courage.
I can't remember.
It's
they changed
Charm.
the name
It's
from
Bravery
Japan
Charm.
to English.
Yeah, and he still would have been doing more than enough damage, and he also plays the Echoing Horn, like even still. So.
Yeah. But we're seeing a judge here from Jack. So both players shuffling their hands into their deck. Going to draw 4 cards. And Jack just disrupting that hand from Peyton. But Peyton, now that he's got the squirrel and the barrel out, going to be able to draw out of really any position that Jack puts him in. We do see that Echoing Horn come back into Peyton's hand. So he can bring back a Pokemon with an ability from the discard pile and put it on Jack's bench if it mattered. But it doesn't really matter here.
Jack thinning the Forest Seal Stone out of his hand. Gonna be Artizoning, possibly looking for that Zeraora.
And we see that Zeraora come down, free retreat on a 1 prizer is very good in this deck. Allows you to put something up in the active, use Flaffy's Dynamotor ability to power up something on the bench, and then retreat out and attack with that Pokemon. And it doesn't have an ability. But kind of too late for Jack there on that front. Enough abilities in play that Scizor is doing anything that Peyton wants. We do see that Path to the Peak finally come down, knocking out that Artisan, limiting ways of Peyton finding more Pokemon to bring out onto his bench, taking that KO on the Scizor. Jack going down to 3 prize cards remaining.
Grabbing the Flaffy off the prize cards, not going to really be doing much for him now.
Peyton gets the energy attachment. He has the Artisan for the Stadium Bump. He's got a Nest Ball, and I believe that with that, the Barrel and Squilvet, he does have a good amount of ways to find another Scizor or a Kleavor here, but he's going to have to attack with the Scizor because of the energy cost on the Kleavor for sure.
And it looks like he is out of Scyther, so we'll need to find that Ordinary Rod before he can get another one down.
See that Clara in his prizes, so that's not going to be a way for him to get those Pokemon back. Definitely is going to have to find that Ordinary Rod. And we see that Cyclizar coming down as a free retreat option for Peyton on the next turn when this Scyther inevitably gets KO'd. And I believe he just got a Clara off of that Nest Dash, so Clara can go get him the Scizor and the Scyther and some energies. Nope, it's got to be another energy. But that was definitely a great top deck there for Peyton off of that Nest Dash. Going to be able to take 2 more prizes here, and I think, funnily enough, one of the things that's hurting Jack in this game is that turn where he chose to boss up a Scyther instead of the Bidoof.
Yeah, I think we were debating it ourselves earlier, and I do think with how poorly Peyton was drawing, I probably would have gone for the Bidoof as well.
You never believe that they're just going to Nest Dash into the barrel, but that squirrel always gets you there.
Time and time again.
So Peyton going down to 2 prize cards remaining, and Jack can't ignore the Scizor. He has to knock it out, but that means that he's not going after those consistency cards on Peyton's bench. So even an Iono here not going to be doing much to Peyton because he can just draw out of it with that barrel.
I don't think the Zeraora doesn't do enough damage to take a knockout on that Scizor.
Yeah, I believe it does 80 damage. So potentially he could have a boss play on Squilvet and knock it out if he could fully power up that Zeraora, but it needs 3 energy on it, and it's already in his active spot, so he can't use that Dynamotor. So probably not going to be an option here for Jack. But with 4 abilities in play now, that Scyther's only doing 210 damage. So if he can find another Charm of Courage to put down on one of these Miraidons, I guess he doesn't even need the Charm of Courage.
He's actually fine.
He's just fine.
Mentioned the Raichu pretty smart, knowing that the Echoing Horn could come into play to put one of those Raikus back into play.
And Peyton's hand here, he's got a lot of energies, a vacuum, and it just improved a lot by top decking that research. He's got to find a way, though, to boss his orders around this Miraidon. So I think what he's actually going to have to do here is Squilvet and then the barrel and find a Scizor plus a boss's orders.
Yeah, I think the other option he had available to him was maybe hoping to do that, but draw into a Luminous or the Luminous Energy or the
Charizard.
the Charizard or a Reversal Energy and the Cleavor.
Yeah.
Either way would have gotten it done.
I believe, yeah, and he did take the Cleavor that was in those prize cards already. So Cleavor is available to him, but
Already attached the
energy attachment already. Not going to quite get in there, and he has the Ultra Ball to find that Scizor, but that Scizor not doing enough damage now.
I think with that, I don't know if Peyton's going to be able to win this game. I think he really needed to take a knockout on this turn to guarantee it. Looks like he will be putting down.
That's the
Scizor,
Scizor. Yeah,
the
that's the
cool
alternate
art.
art. Yeah, very cool card. Yeah, Jack playing that very well. Putting on that Zeraora, putting on that Raichu, playing around the Echoing Horn play, and saying, I don't have enough abilities in play anymore for you to just knock out my Miraidon. You're going to have to find a boss's orders to KO Squawkabilly or Raichu. And Peyton not quite able to get there. He's going to be doing 210 damage onto this Miraidon with Scizor. Just 10 damage shy
Just 10
of that
damage short.
knockout.
That Miraidon hanging on by the skin of his teeth. And with that, I think that should
Just
just
a
be game.
retreat into the other Miraidon to attack, and that'll be game. The Miraidon taking those final prizes against Peyton. What a cool deck to see, though. Love to see the Scizor Cleavor deck come into play, doing well here tonight. And Welcome back to Tuesday Night League Night here at the Forge. Getting into round 3 now. We have SJ versus Tyler. I believe it's Meowscarada EX versus Lost Tina.
Yeah, and Lost Tina seems to be a very popular pick here today. Meowscarada, not so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a rogue deck, but it'll be an interesting matchup that Meowscarada usually likes to see these Lost Zone decks. But that Tina being able to one-shot those big EXs is potentially difficult for this deck. We see these players putting out their prize cards. Nothing too crazy for either of them. That Radiant Greninja, though, prized for Tyler, although I assume potentially he plays a Hisuian Heavy Ball, maybe to get it out of those prize cards. Cramorant, as well as that that single count of Cramorant, most likely in these Lost Tina decks now. So if Tyler goes second, he's not going to have that turn 1 attacker with those 4 cards in the Lost Zone. Nothing too impactful for SJ on his side of the field. 1 Sprigatito, 1 Rare Candy, an Iono, a VIP Pass. All those cards you kind of want to see early, but with only 1 of those counts prized, it's not too big of a deal.
Yeah, and you know, something that Lost Tinas are starting to do is they're starting to play waterless Lost Tina. So electing to go without water energies to up the consistency, but it takes away the power to attack with Radiant Greninja.
Yeah, absolutely. And that Radiant Greninja would definitely be a serious threat on SJ's side of the field with these small 1 prizers that he's trying to set up into large stage 2 EXs later in the game. But we see SJ starting out here very strong. Sprigatito in the active and a Battle VIP Pass on this turn 1. I assume I'm going to go find an Arceus V, potentially another Sprigatito, or if he's worried about that Greninja, Manphy, but electing to go for that Mew. Maybe he's going to be able to find a way to retreat out of this Sprigatito and use that Mew's Mysterious Tail ability to go find another Battle VIP Pass.
Yeah, going the Mew makes sense. Going to try to hit some other Nest Ball or VIP Pass, try to get set up a little bit more. With 3 bench Pokemon, he doesn't really have to worry too much about some kind of escape rope play.
Looks like that escape rope from SJ gets him into that Mew into that active spot, and Mysterious Tail going to be able to look at the top 6 cards of his deck and choose an item card that he finds there. Looks like it was a couple of supporters of Pokemon, and ultimately he's just grabbing an Ultra Ball. Would have hoped to find a Battle VIP Pass there, but Ultra Ball is another way to find that Arceus V-Star on his turn 2. Tyler starting out with that Giratina V on the other side of the field. It's a good chance for him to be able to Abyss Seeking on his next turn, but you definitely want to be starting Comfeys as a Lost Zone deck for sure. So we'll see what Tyler's hand looks like after we get past SJ's turn here. But an Ultra Ball, getting rid, I believe, a Super Rod and a Boss's Orders. Probably going to go find himself another Pidgey.
Going for the Pidgey. So he is playing the Arceus Pidgey engine, which is starting to gain a lot of traction in a lot of different decks.
Yeah, essentially you use that Arceus V-Star Starbirth ability, allows you to search your deck for 2 cards. Usually those 2 cards are the cards needed to set up that Pidgeot EX, which is just a card that says find whatever card you want every turn.
Yeah, and I think in a deck like Sprigatito, you know, before Obsidian or Meowscarada, before Obsidian Flames came out, I think its biggest problem was consistency. Like, the power is kind of there, it can do a lot of damage, it can spread a lot of damage, but just getting set up was always such a struggle. So I think maybe the Pidgeot can solve that problem.
Yeah, one of the interesting things though on Tyler's side of the field is these Giratina decks now playing Path to the Peak as their main stadium, and usually an account of at least 3 in a lot of the decks, and that's going to be shutting off not only the Meowscarada's ability, but that Arceus V-Star and the Pidgeot. So those Path to the Peak are going to be doing a lot of damage to SJ's side of the board, shutting off all of those abilities. And if Tyler can find one here, I don't think SJ had a Stadium Bump in hand to deal with that. Tyler with a Colress's Experiment as well on that first turn. Always something you want to see. And we do see that Path to the Peak in that hand, as well as the Battle VIP Pass. So automatically grabbing those 2 cards and just deciding what else to take. And I think
he took a Comfey.
Okay.
So electing to get rid of the Switch.
I believe that was a Giratina V.
Giratina V. So probably has another Switch in hand, I would think. Or some way to retreat this Giratina.
Battle VIP Pass, going to go find probably another Giratina and a Comfey. Potentially we saw that Radiant Greninja is prized as well as the Cramorant, so not really anything else to take here. but electing, I think, to just grab 2 comfies, start getting all of those flower selectings going, building up that Lost Zone. Those key counts he wants to get to in that Lost Zone is 4 in the Lost Zone, activates Cramorant's ability so that it can attack for free, no energy. When he gets to 7 in the Lost Zone, those Mirage Gates are live, where he can take 2 basic energy of different types and attach them to his Pokemon in any way he likes from his deck. And then 10 activates that Giratina V-Star's, what is it, Star Requiem, which would just knock out anything. And Tyler here, Flower selects for 2 Battle VIPs, so one of them going to the Lost Zone, one of them to the hand, and can ask for much better because you definitely don't need 2 more Battle VIP passes. So that's an easy decision there. When you grab the same card off of Flower selecting, one of them's got to go to the Lost Zone.
And normally here you'd be taking the Cramorant, but again, prize the Cramorant, so we'll likely be seeing Sableye and Giratina V coming down.
I think this is a pretty good start for Tyler if he's able to even get into a couple more comfies here and build up that Lost Zone a little bit more. I'm not sure if he has another Colress in hand, so that's something that he's also digging towards. Already used that energy attachment to get that jet energy on the comfy, so he's not going to be able to do Abyss Seeking on this turn, but I think he's got a strong enough start that that's not too much of a concern.
All right, and Flower selecting to Escape Rope, he's opting to take the switching option to get into another comfy.
I believe I see Switch Cart and Rope in hand. That Rope he just took off that Flower selecting, so he's going to be able to get a 3rd Flower selecting here, building that Lost Zone up to 5 on his first turn. Not too bad.
All right, and he is going for the Escape Rope here, so SJ will have to send something up, and it looks like he will be sending up the Arceus. Makes sense. Doesn't really have to worry about anything getting knocked out this turn.
Tyler having to get rid of an energy here off of that Flower selecting. It was either energy or Mirage Gate, and I think in this situation, energy is the right call as long as you've checked your prizes and made sure that you didn't prize too many. And Water Energy, definitely one that is not as big of a deal in this matchup, for sure, given that you're going to see these evolutions come out pretty quickly on this turn, most likely, if SJ can find a Stadium Bump, which means that Greninja not really going to be doing much. And Greninja is locked away in those prize cards right now anyway. So
And right away, SJ goes for the Iono, resets his 1-card hand to 6. And we'll go into an Ultra Ball here. Didn't see if he has a rare candy in hand.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But the funny thing is he doesn't have to find Manaphy here because if he's not going to take a knockout on this turn, Tyler's bench is all locked up. There's no way for him to get a Greninja out, even if it wasn't locked away in the prizes. And I think SJ's probably just going to go for another Sprigatito here. He's in this position where that Path to the Peak is locking him out of these abilities. He's got the Arceus V-Star, but no way to use its Starbirth V-Star power. He's just going to have to hope that Tyler's not able to KO it on his next turn.
Yeah, and in terms of attackers, Tyler's side is a little bit awkward. I suppose he's probably not going to be able to get to 10 and attack with Giratina, possibly, I guess, if he goes Colress, comfy.
Yeah, that would be a lot to ask for this deck. He'd have to have 3 switching cards and a Colress, but he did start with a Colress in hand, but he chose to Flower selecting first. Getting rid of that Manaphy, not a bad Flower selecting for this matchup. Don't need that Manaphy in this matchup. And that Colress finding energy, Mirage Gate, Colress, and energy. Never good to see that many energy off of a Colress. That means I think we're probably going to see at least 1, if not 2 energy go to the Lost Zone here.
Yeah, and I think if you can get to 10, you have the option to go attack with that Sableye. Those Sprigatitos, pretty easy pickings. I'm not sure. Do the Sprigatitos, do they have 60?
I'm not sure. I think there's a couple different ones. It looks to me like that non-full art one might have 70 HP, but even if they do have 70 HP, he could go for the Pidgey and the Mew to take
That's
2
true.
prizes, or at least take out one of those Sprigatitos and start setting up damage on something else as well. Looks like a lot of energy in that hand for Tyler. Had to get rid of that Colress off of the other Colress, so down 3 Colress already. That means his draw power is going to start to get limited in the back half of this game. But we see that Mirage Gate coming down, eyeing up Grass and a Psychic Energy, and going to be attaching them to that benched Giratina V.
So maybe looking to star Requiem this turn, possibly. Maybe a Lost Impact.
I didn't see the V-Star in hand necessarily. He did have a Jet energy, so he could Jet into the Giratina, get it active, and just swing with the, I forget what the Shred attack. But it looks like he's going to use that Jet energy to get into another Comfey, Flower Selecting, finds Switch Cart and Super Rod. And
He already lost zoned one Super Rod this game, and I believe he only has like water energies left in the deck. So he's going to have to take that Super Rod there.
So getting denied in the Lost Zone, but still missing these pieces he needs to get an attack off this turn. Looks like just a retreat into another Comfey here.
I think he hits Escape Rope.
That looks like an escape rope to me as well.
Oh, Roxanne.
Tough decision here. I think a Roxanne path late in this game is definitely a very good option. So he looks like he is taking that Roxanne. And
you know, I think it's a little unfortunate because if he had, put the energy onto the Sableye that turn instead of the Giratina, he would have been able to attack with Sableye.
Yeah, he would have been able to take that Switch Cart over the Roxanne, switch into the Sableye. But now just passing back over to SJ. But SJ's got a tough hand to work with here. He's got another Arceus V. He's got some energies. He's got a rare candy. But I don't think he has any way to find any of the Pokemon he wants to use that rare candy on, and no Stadium Bumps still. So SJ just a pass back over to Tyler, and Tyler's bought himself an extra turn. And Sableye is live this turn. If he can get into that Sableye. Oh, it looks like SJ is actually still going. I thought he passed, but
it's like he is retreating into the Mew, going to try to Mysterious Tail for something.
Not quite sure.
Finds the Ultra Ball.
So he does have the Ultra Ball rare candy, so he can rare candy into one of the Meowscaradas. And if he has another switching card, he could potentially attack with the Sprigatito. Or sorry, with the Meowscarada. But I don't think he's going to have that here.
With just a 2-card hand, it's looking a little rough on the Meowscarada's side. Likely just going to be another pass back to Giratina. Checking the discard pile one more time.
And we see a Chorus come down here from Tyler. Looks like a Mirage Gate, a Nest Ball, a Rope, a Boss's Orders, and a Comfey. So I think some pretty easy decisions there for Tyler, getting rid of that Nest Ball and the Comfey. And the question is, can he get into the Sableye here to either get rid of that Pidgey or that Sprigatito on the bench? If that Sprigatito does have 60 HP, he's going to be able to knock out both the Pidgey and the Sprigatito. And then his prize mapping here is just Lost Requiem, that Meowscarada EX, and then Lost Impact, that Arceus V-Star. And that's going to be 6 prizes for Tyler if he's able to have that prize route. And see what he decides to do here with this Lost Mine on Sableye. Obviously, that Sableye a very strong card. Once you get 10 cards in the Lost Zone, that Lost Mine attack can spread 12 damage counters around your opponent's board in any way that you want.
Looks like he's checking the other Sprigatito under the Meowscarada. Checking maybe the HPs of all the different ones.
So it looks like the Sprigatito did have 70 HP, so couldn't quite get the knockout on both the Sprigatito and the Pidgey there, and settled for taking out the Pidgey and the Mew, which isn't a bad option either.
SJ attaching energy to the active Sprigatito and researching, setting the pivot into his Meowscarada. Hopefully he can find the Stadium Bump, which he does, finds Artisan. Can think about getting another Sprigatito out.
We're going to see this Starbirth come down, so flipping over that V-Star marker, SJ going to be able to search his deck for 2 cards, put them into his hand, and I wonder if he's just going to go for the rare candy Meowscarada and evolve that Sprigatito. Save it from another Lost Mine attack.
He also could potentially, well, I guess he already researched, so never mind. He will be having to attack the Sableye this turn. Do you know if SJ is playing the Medicham V?
SJ is not playing Medicham.
Okay.
So no way to get that yoga loop attack going. So the main thing that he's going to be doing with these Meowscarada's abilities, obviously Meowscarada has that ability where for each Meowscarada EX in play that you have, you can discard a grass energy from your hand and put 3 damage counters on one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So you can start building up bench damage on those Comfies and start taking additional prizes each turn with that ability. But he also needs to set up damage on these Giratina Vs, because if he can damage them and then attack into them, that Meowscarada's attack will be doing extra damage. I believe it does 100 damage normally, and it does another 120 damage if your opponent's Pokemon already has damage counters on it. And with that double turbo energy attached to the Meowscarada, that negates 20 of that damage from the attack. So he has to set up at least 2 damage counters on a Giratina V to get the knockout.
Yeah, and if Tyler's able to evolve his Giratina's next turn, that's going to even make it that much harder for SJ to return any KOs. Looks like he's made his decision.
SJ struggling a little bit in this game from that early path to the peak. Just shut off his draw engine for a couple of turns and let Tyler get his board set up and get into a good lead. But if Tyler can't start finding some Giratina V-Stars to start attacking with these larger attackers, SJ could start to pull ahead here.
So it looks like he's going to get another Pidgey and Sprigatito down, going to the Meowscarada.
Evolving that Sprigatito into Florigato. I think that has 90 HP. So protecting it a little bit from that Lost Mine, but still another Lost Mine could knock out that Florigato.
Bouquet Magic coming out, putting 30 damage onto the bench Giratina with energy.
And then we just see that knockout on the Sableye. So Tyler going to promote that Comfy, draw for turn, and we'll see what he's able to put together on this turn. He has a Jet Energy in hand, so he does have a way to bring a Giratina to the active. And if he can find a V-Star here, he can just take a knockout on that Meowscarada EX with the Star Requiem.
He's got a tough decision on this flower selecting. He's got his Sableye and a Mirage Gate, both very important cards to be able to make some attacks happen later in this game. He does have the Super Rod in hand, so he is able to get his other Sableye back if he so chose.
I think he can safely get rid of that Mirage Gate, though. He so far has not lost-owned any of his Mirage Gates, and there's no way for SJ to one-shot a Giratina V-Star at this particular moment. And so if he can find the V-Star, he's going to be able to Star Requiem, save that energy, and then potentially have a Boss's Orders KO on the Arceus V-Star on the next turn.
So we'll take the Sableye and bench it.
But Tyler's still digging through his deck, trying to find those Giratina V-Stars. He lost-owned one earlier in the game, and now it looks like he's using a Boss's Orders on that Arceus V-Star. I wonder... I can't tell what all is in that hand there, but...
Possibly he's trying to stall, and he's going to jet into Sableye. It looks like he's going to just go for a Super Rod Mirage Gate play. So I kind of think that makes sense from Tyler. It might be difficult for SJ to move this Arceus out of the active spot.
Yeah, it depends on SJ's switch counts, and really the only thing he could do is, if he doesn't have any switch or escape ropes left in deck, is that he has to, attach a double turbo energy to that Arceus to retreat it out of the active spot. Tyler using that Mirage Gate to attach a Psychic Energy to the Sableye in the active and a Water Energy to that benched Giratina V. And I didn't get a good look at Tyler's deck as he was looking through there, but curious where those Giratina V-Stars are.
Yeah, it seems to be at the very bottom of the deck. Looks like he'll be Lost Mining, taking out the Pidgey again. Makes sense. Putting 60 more damage onto that Sprigatito, leaving it with 10 HP remaining.
I do wonder about that play. I think personally I would have put 3 damage counters on that Meowscarada EX, setting it to 280 HP remaining, meaning that you're, Lost Abyss or...
Oh, Star Requiem. Lost Impact.
Lost Impact would take the KO, but if he has the V-Star here, Oh, sorry, that was SJ. Boss is ordering up that bench Giratina V that was fully powered up and taking the KO. SJ going down to 3 prize cards remaining. Tyler also at 3 prize cards remaining, but when SJ knocks out that Giratina, it means that the Sableye is still active and able to Lost Mine again, which means he's going to take a KO on that Sprigatito. As long as Tyler can find a Giratina V-Star this turn and start to power it up, he just needs 2 energy on a Giratina V-Star to close out the game on his next turn.
Looks like he does have access to Super Rod Mirage Gate, so yeah, just missing that last piece in the V-Star. Well, looks like he's going to have to go for another Boss's Orders stall play again on the Arceus.
Super Rod bringing back probably some of those energies that were on that Giratina V that got knocked out. Bring back a Psychic and a Grass. That's really all that Tyler needs to win this game, is that Psychic and Grass, and playing that Mirage Gate immediately that was in his hand to power up the Giratina V. Definitely in a tough spot though. If SJ just has another Boss's Orders, he can knock out that Giratina V and essentially close up the game there. Double Turbo to retreat out of that Arceus V-Star.
Kind of a tough spot. If SJ needs to evolve this Arceus V so he is able to boss the bench Tina and then make it so he doesn't just lose to Sableye.
So I thought SJ had Arceus V-Star in that hand. He did, and he just researched it away.
I think that's definitely a pretty big misplay. He just loses to Sableye now, and
although Tyler might be out of rods, he would have to have a Clara potentially, and I'm not sure if he plays that in his list to get that Sableye back.
And unfortunate that SJ wasn't able to Iona. Looks like he's going to go to double Bouquet Magic.
And he can move some of this damage off of this Sableye to take a KO on the Comfies if he chose to, but didn't Bouquet Magic onto them, just sending that damage onto the Giratina. And that Giratina now does have enough damage on it that SJ can KO it even if Tyler gets into the V-Star, but I think if Tyler gets into the V-Star, he just wins.
He just straight up wins.
Has Greninja in hand to draw additional cards, and a Jet Energy to get that Giratina V into the active. So he's going to have a little bit of dig here between the Greninja in hand and the Comfey that he's bringing active. Top deck's Giratina V-Star, and that's just going to be game. So evolving into that Giratina V-Star using Jet Energy to move it to the active, and can use that Star Requiem attack to knock out anything once he has 10 cards in the Lost Zone, which Tyler did. So well played to Tyler, playing that Lost Tina deck very well, playing through some of those difficult flower selecting decisions, and playing around some of those Bouquet Magic abilities and all the damage counters that SJ wanted to spread across the board.
Yeah, Sableye, great attacker in that matchup, and it was nice to see the Lost Mines come through.
Yeah, absolutely. So some cool decks we're getting to feature here tonight, thanks to this new Obsidian Flames expansion. I think we don't really see Meowscarada much, but maybe Pidgeot EX breathes a little bit of new life into that deck. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see that Pidgeot come out this game because of Sableye. But if SJ had maybe a little bit better start, we could have seen a little bit different match. But congratulations to Tyler, and we'll be back here soon with our winners interview. Stay
All right, we are back here with our winner of round 3, Tyler. Tyler, how's it going?
I mean, it's going all right. It's the second time I played the deck, and we're here talking, so it's going pretty good.
Yeah, congrats. You played against a matchup that is more of a rogue matchup. How much experience have you had playing against Meowscarado?
Like, I kind of have an understanding, but not. Like, if you notice when he played his first card, I was like, okay, I got to read these when you're evolving. I was like, I got to see what all these do.
Yeah. So what was your strategy just going into this, and what attackers did you think to prioritize?
Well, so going into it, like when I went through for my first search, I didn't have Greninja, I didn't have Cramorant, so I was like, okay, well, we kind of have to get around, which I played a very slow game, just trying to stay away from all of his stuff and just like keeping my Lost Zone count going up so that I could actually get to my Sableye or to my Giratina if I could eventually get there. But then the path holding him back from being able to use his Arc Star. Mixed with trying to boss up his guys and just keep him from like just mowing down, because I wasn't doing much the first like half of that game.
Yeah, those prizes, like you mentioned, were very rough. We were looking at that. I'm like, man, that is not a good. You're going second. Like, you would have been able to get that cram off if you had access to it, but no.
Yep.
So yeah, that was some nice plays. We saw like your Sableyes. You kept going after the Pidgeys, and I thought that was pretty smart. You know, like stopping him from able to search out some of his cards, and that path to the peak. That path to the peak stuck for a long time.
Oh, it did, and he kept digging for it. I think 3 researches until he finally found a bump for it.
Yeah. So what drew you to the Lost Giratina deck?
So I played Arc Pile decks before, and I just kind of got sick of being stuck with like the cards in your hand and only having access to what's in your hand outside of like a research or something. So I just kind of wanted something where I could dig more and kind of like make more decisions.
Yeah, awesome. Any cards you're excited for in the Obsidian Flame set that you might want to make some decks out of?
The new Pidgey, just because he has the Pidgeot, because he just goes and finds you whatever you want every turn. You get a Starbird.
Yeah, a lot of things to do. Any shout outs?
I'm pretty sure my girlfriend's at home watching. Hi, babe. That's about it.
All right, well, congrats on the win, and we'll
Thank
see
you.
you later.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to the Forge. We are here with our round 4 matchup. We have Sophia on the left, MJ on the right. MJ piloting that Jolteon VMAX deck, which is one we haven't seen in a while. And Sophia on the left here playing Tinkaton EX, which is also a very fun sort of rogue deck. So we see our players putting out their prize cards here. Looks like a Tinkatink and a Tinkaton and a Tinkatuff, all 3 of them. And
The whole
Sophia's
lineup.
prize cards there. And then a Jolteon VMAX, a few supporters and energy and some items on MJ's side, but nothing too crucial for either player.
Yeah, a lot of ball search too on Sophia's side. So maybe it will be a little tougher to get her board set up here.
Yeah. But we see these players just about to get kicked off here. And flipping over those active Pokemon and getting started. Sophia on the left there, starting with that Squawkabilly, which means she's going to be drawing a lot of cards on her first turn. It looks like MJ's going first, and he has that Jolteon V Jolteon V active, which is a great starter as well as it has free retreat.
Yeah, and so kind of unfortunate for Sophia to start with the Squawk and the active here, especially going second, as she will have to retreat that this turn if she doesn't want it to take 2 prizes there.
Yeah, so that Squawkabilly is weak to lightning, so that Jolteon VMAX's attack, which normally only does 100 damage, will do 200 to that Squawkabilly.
And not sure if Sophia knows what the Jolteon VMAX does, which is not surprising, as that is not a card that we see too often.
Yeah.
It allows you, it hits 100 to the active and 100 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely an interesting deck that was much more popular back when the Inteleon line was around, as you could evolve into that Drizzile. It would help with your consistency finding an item card and then evolve into that quick shooting Inteleon, which could set up damage counters on your opponent's bench Pokemon so that your Jolteon VMAX was getting, using its full potential there. But MJ here finding that Miraidon EX, using that Tandem Unit ability to go find another Jolteon V and a Magnezone V. That Magnezone V, very interesting card. I believe just for 2 energy, it can bring up one of your opponent's bench Pokemon and do 40 damage to it. And in this case, a lot of times what you're targeting down is that Manaphy, which prevents bench damage but is weak to lightning, and so that Magnezone V can take care of that Manaphy pretty early.
Yeah, and if you are unable to get the Manaphy down on your next turn, get it down again, it has a V-Star attack that hits for 90 on 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So pretty good numbers for taking out some Tinkatinks.
Absolutely, but Sophia here, the pretty powerful start, has a Battle VIP pass in hand. I believe she also had a Nest Ball, and so she's going to be able to search through her deck here, figure out what's prized, and then ultimately with that Battle VIP pass, bring down 2 basic Pokemon and put them onto her bench. Looks like she is playing that Pidgeot EX in this Tinkaton deck, which is definitely a new inclusion with Obsidian Flames, but definitely is an inclusion that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and we'll see if she elects to grab the Manaphy here, which would be very, very important.
Just trying to decide on what that next Pokemon will be. I think it'll be another Tinkatink here as well. She has another Nest Ball in hand, if not 2. Just 1. Rare Candy, Tinkatuff, an Energy, and a Path to the Peak. So it would be definitely kind of a tough decision here to use that Squawkabilly, given that you have that Rare Candy in hand. But there's no supporter, so you kind of have to use that Squawk and Seize ability.
Kind of just have to rip it. Nest Ball coming out.
See what she chooses to find. I wouldn't be surprised if she goes for the Pidgey here, especially if she's not entirely sure what this Jolteon VMAX does and isn't worried about bench damage as much. Looks like the Pidgey is what she's eyeing up here, as well as another Tinkatink.
Looks like she will be grabbing another Tinkatink. We'll likely be seeing maybe an attachment here and the Squawk and Seize.
Yeah, hopefully she attaches to this Squawkabilly so she can retreat it out of the active position and Squawk and Seize and see a fresh hand of 6 cards. But as you said, leaving that Squawkabilly active is very dangerous here against that Jolteon.
right, eyeing up the attachment. Will be attaching to the Squawk. Good.
And see that retreat out of the active spot, putting that Tinka-Tink up. I think I would have liked to see that retreat saved for after using the Squawk and Seize if she does choose to use it here. Given that you might have found another Pokemon that you could bench and just use as fodder to put up
Oh
in the
no,
active
we
position.
see her eyeing up the path to the peak here.
Don't put it into play. You won't be able to Squawk and Seize if you put a path down. Ultimately deciding to just put that path down and pass. No Squawk ability. Use this game. And valuing that rare candy that she had in hand, which is understandable. That's definitely a tough card that to just throw into your discard pile and
For sure.
say good riddance to. But now she's kind of living on that top deck. You see that electric generator come down from MJ, finds one electric energy or lightning energy, going to be able to attach it to one of his bench lightning Pokemon, chooses to go onto that Jolteon V. I believe I see that another Magnezone V in hand, but I'm not sure what else MJ is working with.
It's
in that
looking
hand.
like he doesn't have too much going on here. I don't think I saw any kind of draw supporter. If he has some way to pivot this active Jolteon and has the Jolteon VMAX, this game is looking pretty good for him. But if he's unable to make an attack this turn, that definitely opens the door for Sophia. Oh, and he does have the research.
So attaching that elemental badge to that Jolteon V, that elemental badge says that if this card is attached to a Jolteon, Flareon, or Vaporeon, that their attacks cost one colorless less. And we know that this Jolteon VMAX attack is for a lightning and a colorless, meaning that that Jolteon can now attack for just a lightning energy. But I'm not quite sure what MJ got off of this research. It looks like he's eyeing up some cards to potentially discard, so maybe he does have an Ultra Ball in hand.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting that he chose to attach that lightning energy to the benched one rather than to the active. If he had attached it to the active, he would be guaranteeing an attack this turn.
Well, the active does have free retreat, so he is able to get out of it. And
It shows you how
onto
much
that.
I know about Jolteon VMAX.
Jolteon was kind of my jam back in the day when it was good.
Kind of drifted those electric type decks.
Yeah, I guess so.
Big Pikarom guy.
Yeah. Well, as Jack says, you just like to play lightning Pokemon go fast. So, Sophia reading that Jolteon VMAX now and is thinking, maybe I should have gotten a Manaphy. But MJ, he's going to have to get damage onto those bench Pokemon for that attack to do anything to them. So he's got to find, I assume he plays like the Hawlucha in this deck, he's got to find a way to get some damage onto those bench Pokemon. And this Lost City is definitely a dangerous card that I saw in MJ's hand. If he is able to Lost Zone 2 Tinka-Tinks this turn, I have to imagine that might just be game over from there.
Yeah, and here comes double generator hit onto the Magnezone.
The question is, does he have a way to find the V-Star? Because if he does, he's able to use that Magnezone V-Star attack to do 90 to the active and 90 to one of Sophia's benched Pokemon. So he could be, either way, either if he finds the Hawlucha or he finds the Magnezone V-Star here, he's going to be able to take 2 knockouts on this turn.
Yeah, if not, I think maybe does he elect to use Magnetic Grip onto this Squawk ability? Set up maybe a 2-prizer to get knocked out next turn?
Would do 80 damage to the Squawk ability, so even if Sophia got it back onto the bench, the Jolteon VMAX could knock it out with its attack.
Whiffs that generator. He's played 3 generators already.
Yeah.
He is finding those very early.
Absolutely. So we'll see what else MJ has in his hand. I assume if he had the V-Star, if he had the Hawlucha, he probably would have slapped him down by now. But playing through these electric generators, I assume he wouldn't have played those if he had a way to thin his deck a little bit more. So I think we're just going to see this Jolteon do 100 damage to this active Tinka-Tink and just take 1 prize on this turn. And debating whether or not to put this Lost City down, but it looks like he does decide to do that. And this Tinka-Tink go into the Lost Zone after this Jolteon uses that max lightning attack to knock it out.
Yeah, I think for Sophia, finding a stadium bump would be very crucial for this matchup. Like,
I didn't even notice in Sophia's hand too. She chose not to Squawk and Seize because she had 2 rare candies in hand. Maybe
Oh
you
my
can Squawk
gosh.
and Seize 1 away, but definitely not 2 in this deck.
yeah. So we'll have to see. It looks like she'll likely be. We'll see what the top deck is, but likely we'll have to rare candy into the gather materials. Tinkatuff and just try to see some more cards? Ooh. There we go.
Sophia.
Saved it.
Did she just top deck the EX?
She top decked the EX. That's pretty huge. Her hand is not very big though, so not doing too much damage.
But at least with that EX out, that's something that the Jolteon has to 3-shot. So at least it's a big, bulky Pokemon in the active that Jolteon isn't doing much to. And MJ just draws an Iono. That's all he has, I think, in terms of supporters in that. Never mind.
Another research.
He's always got the research. If he had the Iono there, that definitely would have helped Sophia out a lot. But MJ being able to research away that hand to draw 7 new cards. Players discussing something here.
Oh.
Looks like Sophia's pointing to that lost city, but I think we're good. We're good.
Cool.
So MJ playing that professor's research, discarding his hand, drawing 7 cards, and we'll see what he's able to get off of this.
I think ideally he's looking for the Hawlucha, which I think I see in his hand. Sophia's still unable to get the Manaphy out. It looks like MJ is playing Earthen Sealstone, which is the Sealstone that you don't see too often.
Yeah, but that Earth and Seal Stone, once you have 3 energy attached to one of your Pokemon V, you can use that Earth and Seal Stone to attack your opponent, and what it does is it sets all your opponent's Pokemon V down to 100 HP remaining, which are the perfect numbers for this Jolteon VMAX to start knocking them out. We see that Jolteon's Max Lightning doing 100 damage to the active and 100 damage to that bench Tinkatuff because it did have damage counters on it from that Hawlucha. And MJ taking another prize there, and Sophia just having to pass.
Yeah, some unfortunate top decks for the Tinkaton deck. But it will take this Jolteon a little bit to get through the Tinkaton. It's still gonna have to take one more hit on it.
Yeah, so it looks like MJ just attacking again, kind of setting up the board to say, if I attack again next turn with this Jolteon, I just win. And Sophia unfortunately top decking another Tinkaton, and that's just going to be game here, I think, after this next attack from MJ. So an unfortunate match here. Sophia just not quite able to get there. Had that Squawk ability to draw more cards on her first turn, and I think it's a different game if she chooses to do that. But a difficult choice to do that, given having
two rare candies
in the hand. Definitely very tough decision there for Sophia, and ultimately, I think if you discard those 2 rare candies and get yourself into the game, you might still just lose because you don't have any way to get into your stage 2s. And that Jolteon definitely just drew everything it needed, always finding the research, finding energies off those electric generators, and finding the Hawlucha when he needed it.
Yeah, those were some clutch researches coming through from the Jolteon player, like hitting him at the exact right time, seeing all the cards he needed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well played.
Yeah, well, thank you for tuning in tonight. We will be back shortly here with a winner's interview, and then that will wrap up this evening here at the Forge. Stay tuned. All right, and we are back here with our winners interview with MJ. MJ, congratulations on winning round 4. Talk to us a little bit about that Jolteon deck. Jolteon, not a card that we've seen a lot recently, but you able to go 3-1 tonight here with that Jolteon.
I just like evolutions, which is kind of the reason I picked it in the first place.
Yeah.
It's a deck that's good at picking on small stuff, especially like the lost boxes, which I saw 0 of tonight. And it doesn't really like to see the big hitters, so.
Yeah. Well, you're able to use that Lost City, start to knock out some of those Manaphies, knock out some of those small Pokemon as soon as you get that Jolteon VMAX rolling. And tell us a little bit about the other matchups you saw tonight. You saw Tinkaton, obviously, in that last round, and you said he didn't see any Lost Box. So what were some of the other players that you played against tonight?
I saw Rapid Strike round 1, which is like an auto loss for me.
Yeah.
But they ionoed themselves in 3 dead cards, and I was able to pick them off because of it.
Nice. You always love to see that.
Second matchup was Arceus v Charizard EX, and they ionoed themselves into 6 dead cards with an already iffy board, so I won there too.
Nice.
Round 3 was a more conventional Miraidon Flaffy, and they got rolling. I had a decent start, but I need to have a good start to win there, so they got that one. And then here, again, just they kind of had a dead hand, and I was able to take advantage.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on going 3-1 tonight. Definitely a cool deck to see, and hopefully we continue to see you do well with it here at our local league nights.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, MJ.